In this video, I'll be explaining about the 50-30-20 budget rule and my thoughts on it. Stay tuned. What's good, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If we haven't met before, my name's David. I'm a millennial, working professional in the city of real love. On this channel, I'll talk about topics such as personal finance, investing, and work-related tips. If that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel. Alright, let's talk about the 50-30-20 budget rule. What is the 50-30-20 rule? In the simplest of terms, it's a way to budget your personal finances. This budget rule breaks out in 3 different categories: your needs, your wants, and your saving and debt payments. And all the money that you're putting into these categories are after taxes. The amount of money that you could put into these different categories are going to be broken out by different percentages based on the category itself. For example, for needs, it's going to be 50% of your monthly expenses. Some example for this category would be rent, mortgage payments, transportation, food, utilities, and all minimum debt repayments. The things in these categories are necessities, things you can't live without. For this category, it may be difficult for you to reduce your expenses such as your rent or mortgage payments, but try to look into different things such as house hacking or living with roommates. For the second category, wants, it's 30% of your monthly budget. Expenses in this categories are going to be things like traveling, entertainment, and dining out. It's important to distinguish what is a need and what is a want. It's a trap for many people to think that they need something when in reality, they just want it. In the past, I had a job where I had to travel to different client sites, so I was in the belief that I needed a sports car or something to impress our clients, but in reality, I could have went with a more affordable option that was more cheaper and less expensive than a sports car. For this category, try to keep your monthly expenses as minimum as possible. For the third category, saving and debt repayment, it's 20% of your monthly budget. For this category, it's going to include things such as investing into your 401k or paying off more towards your debt. For most people, saving, investing, and paying off your debts for 20% of your monthly budget is fair, but for people who have large amount of debt, I recommend that you reduce your spending for your wants and potentially your need categories and focus on paying off your debt. For me, it's my personal goal to save and invest roughly 50% of my income, and the way I'm planning to achieve that goal is by reducing my spending in the needs and the wants category. So that's the basic structure for the 50-30-20 rule. Make sure you know the structure for this because it's really important. And besides knowing the structure, it's really important to know the pros and cons for this budget method. So these are the pros and cons for the 50-30-20 budget rule. The first pro is it's simple. With this budget rule, it breaks it out to 3 different categories: your wants, your needs, saving, and investing. It's really straightforward, so when you categorize your items that you spend within a month, it makes it quite easy to categorize and make sure how much you're spending in different categories, and it highlights areas that you're spending most on. So it could be that you're spending more on your needs or you're spending more on your wants. For this budget rule, it's quite simple and straightforward, so you don't have to do any complex calculations for it. All you have to do is track your expenses and put it into these different categories. The second pro is that it's structured. If you're the type of person who needs guidelines and more instructions, then this budgeting method is for you. As I mentioned before, it's simple and straightforward, so it will reduce the confusion for any complexity for other budgeting methods. So if you're looking for something that has structure and balance, look into this budgeting method. When I first started budgeting my finances, it was really complex and confusing because there were so many categories out there, whether we're talking about your rent, utilities, going out, buying things online. This budget method does a great job for providing people who are new to budgeting for any guidance, because with these broad categories, it makes it really simple and hassle-free for knowing how to track your finances. And besides the pros, there are cons for this budget method too. Con number 1, it's generic. Everyone's situation and finances are very unique, so in order for this method to work, it has to be very broad and generic. There's situations where you may not be relevant or it may not be helpful for you. For example, if you're a high or low income earner, there might be situations where you want to decrease your want category and focus on more on debt repayment or investing and saving. Make sure you put some thought and research behind it because your situation is going to be different from another person. The second con is it's too low. By too low, I mean the saving and investing portion. In my opinion, I think saving and investing 20% seems too low because it seems like the cost for retirement is going to be a lot more than what it is right now. If you can, try to save close to 30 or even 40% of your income, but then you're able to retire early and be more financially independent. And make sure you know both sides of the budget rule so you know the pros and cons and how it can benefit for your personal finance goals. So that's what the 50-30-20 budget rule is. It's a simple, easy way to budget your finances and track your expenses. If you're new to budgeting or don't know where to start, I highly recommend this method. It's a solid foundation for people who don't know where to start, and from there, you can customize based on your situations and your finances and investing strategies. Overall, I think this budget method is a great foundation for many people, but it may not suit for a lot of cases where you're a high income earner or a low income earner. For those situations where you're a high income earner, you might want to reduce the amount that you're spending in terms of your wants category, because you want to make sure that you can retain your wealth or also increase it. So maybe put that portion of your wants into the investments or the saving portion. Personally, I recommend that your wants category should be the lowest. So if you had to rearrange things, it should be your needs at roughly 50%, your wants at 20%, saving and investing should be at 30%. Those are some of my thoughts and recommendations, but feel free to let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts about the proportions and the categories for this budgeting method. Thank you for watching my video. If you already haven't done so, feel free to like the video, subscribe to my channel. It really helps me share the content I create. As always, stay fresh, stay awesome, take care.